Hello and welcome to another episode of the Forged Warriors Iron Sharpens Iron. I am your host, Travis Stetzel, and in short, what I do is I help men essentially have it all from forging the body that they want, building the strength, the fitness, the lean, energized body that they desire. And not only that, but I help them rewire their brain. So gaining the clarity, the confidence to go out and do what it is they want to do and kick ass in life. Simple put, right? So what this show is about, the Iron Sharpens Iron show, is about showcasing some of the men that have gone through the Forged Warrior Project who are living the lives that they want to live by putting in the work, by standing up against the bullshit out there, the BS scams, the quick fixes, the overnight gimmicks, all that type of bullshit. I know how it is. I know what it's like out there to be confused, to be overwhelmed, to be stressed the F out, not knowing what the hell to do. And that's really what the Forge Warrior Project is about. And Iron Sharpens Iron is, again, going to showcase some of these men that have been able to take back control of their lives and are kicking ass. And in today's episode, I got a really amazing episode with a really amazing guy, somebody who at one time competed at a very high level collegiately in track. He was at the top of the top, running against people like Michael Johnson. And so high level caliber athlete here we're talking, where after that was done, he found himself at the bottom of the pit, overweight, stressed out, not feeling good about himself. And here he is today. He's turned it around, and I'm excited to let Shane share his story with you about how the Forge Warrior has changed his life and what he's doing today to keep it rolling. All right, here we are, kids. Here we are. I'm excited for this one. I got my man Shane here. And Shane, we're going to be digging into your story, talking about the journey that you have taken inside the Forge Warrior. How are we doing today, man?
I'm good. Doing well. Got the day off. That's one of
you got the day off, and I understand Tuesdays are like your relaxed day, right?
Yep, take time for Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm. Got to stick to that, man. Remember, that's code for you.
Big time.
Right? That's like a non-negotiable, right?
Big time.
Different things that we go over inside the Forged Warrior, non-negotiables, which actually it would sound like it's putting you in sort of in some sort of like restrictive type thing, but honestly, that restriction gives you more freedom. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, like I can tell. I've just started this in the new year, and there's just being able to see the challenge with it, and what happens on when I have negotiated it, how that takes effect with the rest of my week. So yeah, it's been interesting. Actually took time today. I've been using some just accountability partners to hold me true to it, and went to lunch with actually one of the warriors inside this group. And so just kind of using that interdependence and level of accountability has helped me to be accountable.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Hells yeah. So you got the Forge Warrior shirt on. That's not something that you can buy. You got to earn that thing, man. So let's talk about some of the results that you've seen since joining the Forge Warrior.
Sure.
What's it been like, man?
For me personally, I can talk about it on probably 3 different fronts. But one is, for somebody who's not a part of this, it's hard to explain because it's a lot of it, I think, is just the experience. But the most, like in my head, that I've been able to relate it to is almost like the Fight Club. It was like just like the other person knows, and they know that and you kind of give them that nod. You kind of, your pound, means a little bit different when you fist bump. and now we have this flag with our shirts. And so we've been kind of taking days where inside the gym, we'll all wear it just to kind of represent. So just because we know what we've all gone through, it takes on like a different level when you're inside the gym working out, like an expectation, what it means to be a warrior. So that ties into just what I've noticed, like physically. We push each other to like a whole nother level. And then I saw, I finished the 12 weeks, but the Fuel 121 is my focus now, which is a whole different set of challenges, understanding just what fuel I bring in or take in, how that has implications on everything else that I do, whether it be inside the gym or outside.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is mindset, that I've taken away. And quite frankly, that's the reason, my sole reason for signing up for the project. I kind of have this double-edged sword where, like, sometimes I'm a big ideas guy, and I'll have these ingenious, at least to me, ideas. And as I get going on them, before I complete the actual project, I come up with my next best idea and feel like I need to get going on that or I'll lose it. And so I'll get all these pokers in the fire with none of them really coming to a completion.
I think that's, you bring that up. That's such a common problem I see with guys, not only in like the fitness realm, but like just with their whole life in general. So when it comes to fitness, they start a program, they get going for a couple weeks, they get some momentum going, 10, 14 days in, oh, cool little program just pops out on Facebook. I saw this program on YouTube or Facebook. So they just jump ship and then they jump on this other program and the cycle continues, right? Same thing with nutrition. You see that all the time. They start dialing things in. They start doing a specific diet and then, oh, some new keto spin just popped up. So I think I'll stop doing this and I'll go ahead and go do that. And then same thing. I've had the same struggles with that is you got these ideas. Okay, I want to start this thing. So you start doing it. You get 3/4 the way there, and then you stop and you start on another thing. And then it's, before you know it, you're spread so freaking thin that you got like 100 different things, 75% complete, but 0 completed, right? So I'd much, and going through the same journey that you've gone through, I'd much rather have like 2 things fully completed and running at the best they can than 100 things running at like 50%, right? That's huge. And that's one thing that I have noticed with you is we're starting to dial that mindset in, man. So that's great.
Yeah, it's mindset, and it's not complicated, but a big, like, we have our mottos and traditions and codes, and just taking massive fucking action, and having that, just something that simple, has helped me to alleviate a lot of those distractions.
Yeah.
Like, just do it all the way through, be accountable. More is not always better. So hence take time for Tuesdays, kind of brings that full circle.
Rest and recharge, come back, 100%. Then versus, trying to hustle and grind through it. Like, there's a time to hustle and grind. Don't get me wrong there, but the whole, just running yourself into the ground, no sleep, right? No rest for the wicked, so to speak, right?
Yep.
I mean, at a certain point in time, you're going to crash and burn, right? So
that's it.
Balance is the key, man. But yeah, talking about, taking massive fucking action, which is like one of the key rules that we live by. Let's take it on back to the old school, if you will.
Yeah.
When you first started this journey, man, like, I remember it took you a little bit of time to actually take the steps forward to get rolling with this thing. What was this, like 2 years ago?
What would it be? January 16, 15. So,
yeah.
January 16th of 2015 was day one for me.
So where were you mentally, physically at that point, man?
Um, Chalked up, washed up. I had just succumbed to like not being that guy who was going to talk about his glory days. My name's on the record board for people to see, and that was it. That was a different chapter of my life, and that's where I left it. I bronzed my spikes and had moved on to more of a career-minded focus. Home ownership and um, climbing the corporate ladder. And
You're out of that game now.
yep. So that's where I was. Um, and then I'd almost just become completely uncomfortable in how many different ways I was seeing myself be a hypocrite. And I had to do something about it. Not practicing what I preach, talking about mind, body, soul, and leading a healthy lifestyle. To skip lunch and grab Burger King on the way home after a full day had just taken its toll.
Yeah. And
Yes.
at one point you were an All-American track athlete.
Yeah.
You ran against Michael Johnson, right?
He was at the same track meet.
Okay. Because I remember you mentioned that. I mean, you're at the same track meet. I mean, still, that's a high level, dude. That's something to say,
It's funny to look back on. But yeah, I was a 3-time All-American at the NAIA level in the 400 meter. And that was a big part of my identity that I tried to maintain after I graduated, whether it be through like Cornhusker State Games but there's just not a lot of competitions for once around the track. And so that, it's like, well, why don't you do a 5K or a 3K? And, I could slog those. But it wasn't my game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I left it where it was.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, you're at that point, you're kind of at the lowest of the low. I mean, what really sparked you to take action, man?
255 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like I didn't want to go bigger than a double XL. I just, it was just like a calling. It was a simple 6-week challenge. And I thought, well, I could do anything for 6 weeks. And that got my foot in the door and just kind of made that commitment. It was skin in the game too. So, my $12 a month gym membership that I hadn't been to in a year meant nothing to me. So
Wasn't getting the job done.
yeah, to just go to the gym by myself or whatever the case was. So getting into the gym there, getting through those first 6 weeks, I had a ton of water weight there, and just from going from doing nothing to something had some of that honeymoon effect. But it only took 6 weeks then to see all the other things it offered, which was the community, the family atmosphere, being part of something bigger than myself. And that's how it all kicked off for me.
Yeah. And then enter the Forged Warrior project.
Yeah, like next levels. So with anything, you kind of hit your plateaus. So going to the gym 3 days a week, hitting the Saturdays, building relationships, some closer than others. But I'd found that I needed something more competitive. So, there's the Forged Open, which was awesome, but that's once a year. And I was able to acknowledge the importance of that for me. So then signing up for that triathlon, just something that keeps me goal oriented as far as my physical goals, whether it be a gray band or a red band or like different lifts or different competitions. But I know that for me to stay focused, I have to have certain goals. And so the Forged Warrior, actually, I'd been looking at masterminds, but this was kind of like a blend, I think, because I mean, as much as I didn't know about it, for me, I wanted to do something that incorporated not just the physical or dietary aspect, but also incorporating some of my personal stuff, professional stuff.
Yep.
And so that's ultimately, I was looking for like another level of everything: accountability, relationship, brotherhood.
Balancing it all out across the board, really.
Yeah.
I think that's another big, struggle a lot of guys have, is that fitness might be at an all-time high, but then shit at home is non-existent. It's in shambles, right? Or your training might be up there, but what about your nutrition?
Yeah. And when you were talking about like picking up the next thing or adding to it or figuring out stuff to supplement, or I've got this going on and now I get another thing that pops up. What I've looking back now, what a big part of what the Forged Warrior Project did for me was it was a one-stop shop. And so it had all things included. So I didn't need to piecemeal or look for things to help supplement it. It's all in one encapsulated group.
Yeah.
So that's
essentially what it's all about, man.
Look no further.
We got all these different rocks, right? We got fitness, we got nutrition, we got mindset, we got, relationships, we got business, right? How do we tie all that stuff together? How do we bring it together? That's like a big struggle a lot of guys have, right? And so
Absolutely.
they're going over here to get this, but then they're going over here to get this, and then it's not interconnecting, right? There's that disconnection. So really that's the key, is bringing all that stuff together. So
yeah,
cool.
I couldn't agree more.
But yeah, aside from that, something that I really pulled from what you were saying was, and I know a lot of guys go through this, I went through this myself, was, especially when you're an athlete, when you're an ex-athlete and you compete at the highest level of your specific sport, your area of expertise, like you're one of the dudes, like you're the fucking man, right? Walking around. You get that ego boost, and when you lose that, it's hard to find it. And I get exactly what you're saying. Like people are like, just go run a 5K or, go do, something like that. It's just not the same. It's not fulfilling. Right. And so, finding that again, rediscovering that again, basically putting it in towards your fitness again. Cause that's really what it's about, is competing and pushing yourself, but it's not just showing up and, hey, let's do some bicep curls or, tricep kickbacks to look good. It's, hey, let's see what we can fucking do with this body, right? Let's rebuild this body. Let's unleash that athlete inside, and let's see what we can get done, right? And that's the fun part, right? And that's really what keeps you coming back, and then it ignites all the other areas of your life too. Okay, if I'm going to be pushing my body, beyond its limits, let's make sure we're doing the things outside of the gym that most people don't focus in on. Let's make sure we're doing that stuff. So we're getting sleep, we're eating right, we're doing extra recovery work, right? We let that stuff start to slip, our health starts to slip, and then it starts to affect all the other areas of our life, right? And so that's really where you got to take a step back and you got to look at the big picture. How do we tie all this stuff together, right? And you can excel at each one of those areas, but it takes time, it takes consistency, it takes effort. It's not an overnight fix, right? So
yeah. And to build on that, the warrior in me never died, because it won't.
Yep.
I didn't have an outlet for it, and doing it all by my lonesome, it wasn't there. And so having the band of brothers with similar minded people has been huge. And so like going all in and trying to do this on my own at the gym, whether it be a circuit workout or going and running the 5K, whatever it was, I was missing pieces. So then you get an injury and you're out another 6 months, and it's like, why do I try? Or I'm missing something here, or for what? So yeah, having those connections in a group, I just know I do better with a team, and I do better with a coach. And so that's another component of this warrior project that was missing.
Team, coaches, accountability.
Yep.
It's a common thing guys are missing out on. With that being said, man, what are some of the biggest takeaways, biggest tips that you'd want to share with other guys out there that might be, sitting where the old Shane used to be?
I was like, you don't have to do it alone. To have a team, to have an elite, exclusive kind of something special that you belong to. You just can't, like, I couldn't find that. I couldn't replace that. I could have a trainer, I could have all these things, but that level of accountability, that's been the biggest thing for me. And then just like having a uniformity with it, as far as the codes. There's certain codes that we've adopted, and we all struggle with them in our own right. But being able to have that frame of reference and language amongst the fellowship here is it's been powerful.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. It's funny that I just had this conversation not too long ago today with a gentleman who had been struggling with just, I can't stay motivated. I get motivated and then I lose this motivation. And it's just like, how do you stay motivated all the time? Truth is, you don't. You can't stay motivated all the time. Like, what's going to help push you is a combination of accountability, surrounding yourself with other like-minded people. When you're not motivated, these guys might be motivated. That's what freaking pushes you forward, forces you to show up. But not only that, but like you talked about, having rules, principles, and codes that you live by, right? Which, for example, one of the codes that we have inside the Forge Warriors, be the warrior, which means you show up every fucking day, no matter what, right? Whether you're, tired, you don't feel like it, you still show up. Does that mean that you're operating at 110%? Does that mean that you hit a PR, whether that be in the gym or, business, whatever? Does that mean that you're your best every single day? Absolutely not. Like, nobody's going to peak and be able to maintain that for, the long haul. Like, we have our good days, we have our bad days, but a warrior recognizes that, and that's what he lives by. Right. And so it's just about, how do you stay motivated? Again, you don't. Like, you live by these rules and codes, and that's going to be what continually pushes you forward, right? The Forever Project. That's what I think you first came up with that.
Yeah.
That tag inside the group, the Forever Project. That's really what it's about.
Doesn't quit.
Nope, doesn't quit. Long, everlasting, man. So it's amazing. It's amazing to see the progress that you continue to make. I mean, from when you first started up till now, until, man, it's going to be exciting to see where you're at here in another, 12 weeks, 6 months, year.
And then it becomes fun. You can almost forecast it, or your goals become more dialed in, more realistic, because you do have these codes and principles. And working through those struggles is where that gain comes. So for myself, I'm just kind of coming out of a 4-week like lull. But because I had the codes and the accountability and the group and the principles, and I showed up, this past week, I'm back in it, feeling good. I feel like I'm going to peak at the right time for some of the things I got coming up. Whereas, who knows, years past, you kind of hit those walls, and it can really just throw you completely out of bounds
Yep.
for another who knows how long.
Yep. Yep. Bloodied but unbowed, man.
Say that one again.
The bloodied but unbowed, right?
I like it. Yeah.
We're gonna get beat up on this journey. It's about winning the war. You know, you're gonna lose some battles here and there, but win the war, man. Keep showing up. It's good stuff, my man.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming on. I know guys will definitely get some good stuff from this. So keep being a warrior, dude. Keep showing up. Keep kicking ass.
Always.
All right, brother.
All right. Appreciate it.
All right. So that was a great episode with my man Shane. Again, he has an amazing story, and a story that's very, very common with a lot of guys that I tend to talk to. I'm an ex-athlete, competed at the collegiate level, played a little professional arena football. So I was at the top of my game at one time, and when that was done, when that was gone, sort of like Shane went through, where when he hung the spikes up, he went through that gap, so to speak, that time where you just sort of lost. You don't have the camaraderie you used to have. Being a team athlete, you know, being surrounded by other athletes, you know, like-minded individuals pushing you to be greater, and you got that accountability of the actual sport, which is, you know, forcing you to show up day after day after day to work your ass off, and then you compete, right? When you don't have that anymore, things change. And so I've had a lot of conversations with men over the years that have gone through this same situation where they find themselves lost. They find themselves just, they really don't have any sort of direction. And that's one of the main reasons I've created the Forged Warrior Project, is to give these men new direction, new meaning, new purpose, right? And that's just a small itty bitty piece of what the Forged Warrior Project is all about, is giving you that purpose, giving that reason to fucking unleash that inner warrior, that inner athlete that you have inside that's, you know, gone away. So if you're a guy and you're out there and you're sitting there and you're like, holy shit, like this is me. I used to compete at a high level. Maybe you didn't compete at a high level. Maybe you were just one time an athlete and you want to feel that power again, and you want to feel that energy and feel that athleticism, and you want to unleash that athlete again. Look into hopping on board with the Forged Warrior Project. We're bringing on a couple more guys. If this is something that you want to do, click the link either above, below this video, apply, we'll connect. We'll see if you're a good fit. If you are, we'll move ahead with this opportunity. If not, I'll be able to connect with you either way, and I'll get some resources in your hands so you can start taking the steps forward on unleashing that inner athlete of yours again, so you can start living a better, greater life for yourself, right? So thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Forged Warriors. Iron sharpens iron. Until next time, keep going ham, refuse average, and be the warrior.